Hi, I'm Teresa from Phoenix Gate Crafts, and welcome to another podcast. Let's start with what I'm wearing. This is actually the Old Country Bridges top that I sell on my Etsy. It's the pattern I've made. It's very adjustable because you do it based on your own measurements and your own design preferences. And it's very easy, basic stitches, and the pattern walks you through all the steps. I'll have a link in the description box down below if I remember, but I like wearing this on top of a regular tank top. My main job is as a tutor, so having something, just a tank top is not really seen as professional clothing. And a lot of parents prefer having something that's kind of shoulder covering. Like you can't see my bra underneath. I mean, you can't see this one anyway, but sometimes they don't match up very well. So this kind of covers that at the very least. And I don't know, it looks more like a shirt. It's one of those funny things where, no, it doesn't really cover anything, but it gives the illusion that it covers a little bit more. So it's okay now. So yeah, I've got a few of these kinds of things that I do, including the ponchos and stuff. So now the tricky segment today is acquisitions, because I do have acquisitions. The problem is I've talked about them in other videos. So it's like I could talk about my darn good yarn haul, but I made an entire video about that. So maybe I should tell you to go see that. I also got a hooks and needles subscription box, technically 2 subscription boxes, but shortly after I film this video, I'm going to be filming that review video. So keep an eye out for that one. Like, share, subscribe, I guess. I don't really like doing the like, share, subscribe because it feels like I'm being pushy, but you're always welcome to if you want to. And you don't have to if you don't want to. I'm friendly. And while we're at it, if you want to see me try my hand at macrame, I haven't tried that yet, but I'm going to have that as my next video, probably before the hooks and needles one, but I'm going to be filming them back to back either today or tomorrow. So keep an eye out for both of those. I've never done macrame. That's going to be interesting. But one of the things that I did get was this beginner crochet kit. Long story short, I did review this in its own separate video that came out yesterday, the day before I'm filming this. I did a review, and then I decided that I wanted to do a project. Something I didn't specifically say in that review video is that this kit, which I think only cost about 20 bucks, maybe 25. This kit has 2 50-gram skeins of each color in the rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. Not the other rainbow that my mom used to sing at me, because you could sing a rainbow. But it's got 2 50-gram skeins per color, and it's a mess now, which is 600 grams of colors. And I was like, oh, I would love to make a project with this, because I'd love something in a rainbow. It's the only way I can guarantee I'm going to use all those colors. And it's like, hey, it came with hooks, it came with knitting needles. What do I want to do? And then, of course, I was watching a person on YouTube, Alt Knots. She's goth and she does crochet. And I really like her. She's got a very friendly, bubbly personality, and she's all Halloween all the time. And she did a yarn review that I think came out yesterday that was basically a giant granny square that she folded over to create some sleeves. A shrug, I think is what it's called. I'm not sure. I was like, oh, I love that idea. But then when I do granny squares, I'm always kind of disappointed at how stiff they typically are and how much holes they are, because I was like, oh, this shrug might be a good idea so I don't have to get out my bathrobe, because right now we're in summer, so the evenings, you know, when your sweat cools on your skin, you feel cold even though it's not that chilly out. So I was like, okay, I'll do that. And then I started it, and it's not a problem with the yarn, it's just a problem with my preferences regarding stuff. But I was using the 4.5 millimeter hook, and then I didn't like that. That was a little too stiff, so I switched up to my usual 5 millimeter hook, and I liked that better. But I didn't like the holes, because that's my issue with granny squares. I don't like the holes between the 3 crochet clusters. I feel they're too big and too much of an opportunity to just get stuck in it. So I decided to do a solid granny. And although this one feels better, I like this because it's just going to be a granny and it's going to be bigger. Something also that happens when you do a granny square, the center is always the biggest color, and then the outer edges are always the thinnest color because there's more distance on the outer edge. So I was like, you know what, maybe I should do some kind of puff stitch or something inside. So I did a couple puff stitches, literally a couple. I did 2, or popcorn stitches. This one didn't hold. And then I was like, you know what? I don't like this being where it is, where the first one is so far out. So now I want to undo all of this and maybe go to this row here, the third, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, like the third round, and do some or something. I need to do some counting of stitches and figuring out when I need to do it, where I want to do it. If it should be every other stitches a popcorn or not. And maybe just do a different kind of texture with every color as well. That might be interesting. I don't know. I don't have a plan, and this is where I keep tearing it out. Another work in progress I have is also the yarn that I got from Darn Good Yarn. And that is this. This one is a knit one. It started out as a crochet. Basically, it's kind of like this concept, but I'm starting at the bottom and I am doing just holes. Simple, mostly brain dead. Every 4th round is knit 2 together, yarn over. And this yarn is 100% recycled silk. Each ball is only 50 grams. And it's not a bad color. I mean, I'm not a very big pink and orange girl, but this isn't so bad. I have some yarn I dyed that is orange with some green that I think I could make socks that look related. They're not going to match by any stretch. Very different intensity of color. But if I wear this with my orange socks, I think they can look coordinated once I make the orange socks. I haven't started on those because this is like the 2nd or 3rd iteration of this. Because it started with this very bright yarn. So the first iteration of this project was this. And you might recognize this from my How I Come Up With a Pattern project. It was originally supposed to be something kind of akin to this. It's V stitches instead of Old Country Bridges. And I just went across the boobs, chained some, started it, but this only wound up being enough to come from maybe here to about here. It wasn't enough to fully cover the boobs, let alone do like shoulders or anything. I hadn't gotten that far. And I figured this would be like a panel for the back. And then I realized I don't have anything that really goes with this. I had one other 50-gram ball, but that is shades of green. and that would kind of not mesh with the rainbowness of this yarn. So that's why I wound up making my other video where I made my packet bowl. And this works very well for my packets. I've actually used a few, so it's functioning the way I intended. And that's pretty awesome. But I still didn't get the new garment that I really wanted to make. So I wound up switching to this yarn. And I got about halfway through the first 50-gram ball on the front panel, and it wasn't working up any further than the first one did. And I am not one for a crop top. My tummy pooches out a little bit, and I feel that the crop tops just don't go with my figure. They kind of require that you're skinny underneath the crop. And I'm not skinny underneath the crop because I'm just not skinny. And I'm totally okay with that. But I want something that will go a little farther, and yarn seems to go a little farther with knitting. So I switched to knitting and I started bullshitting my own pattern. And I have used most of one of the balls. And here's the problem. This is recycled silk. Recycled silk is not stretchy and it doesn't cling the way that wool does. So I started doing an every other round helical knitting style so that I could switch from one hand-dyed ball to the other so you wouldn't really notice the transitions so much. If anything, it'd look like a fade if you do notice anything. But I wound up with quite a bit left. And then this one seems to have quite a bit more orange and pink, at least in my perspective, than either this ball or the other little ball. So this one's going to go at the top, but I'm somehow going to have to split this between the front and the back so that it transitions kind of evenly across the front and the back. And this is all of a sudden becoming way too brain intensive for this simple pattern that I was bullshitting my way through. And I just realized I'm not very good at BSing a pattern. I do so much better with a written down kind of pre-planned pattern. And it's not that I'm not up for this. It's just, well, life's been a shitstorm lately. We've had a couple deaths in the family. I did an online funeral. I went to an online funeral today. I didn't do anything for it. And we had car problems that resulted in needing to purchase a new car. And it's just like one thing after another. And it's all come together, and the last few months have just been rough. I have been using crafting to kind of take my mind off of it, but I am having this motivational issue. I'm even working on a cross stitch. I got all this brickwork done, and now I'm doing a little bit extra on the bricks, the lighter color kind of around each brick. I don't know if you can see it. It looks kind of fuzzy, but I got his face done. Those of you who like Monty Python will probably recognize this French dude and probably hear his ridiculous accent. You know, I'm just not having motivation to do stuff, which is also why it's been a few months since my last podcast, because it's not like I'm on a schedule with this. I do it when I like. And this is also where getting the kits and stuff has been nice, because I open something, it feels like a present, and I'm not sure what I'm going to get, and it's exciting. Way more than if I knew every single thing I was going to get would be. Although that's nice too. But as a result, I'm just kind of floundering and figuring out projects and being like, oh, do I need it? Do I not need it? And I like crochet because crochet goes faster than knitting, and the ends are easier to weave in because the way the crochet is, ends hide better, because you could not just go through the base of the stitches this way, you can also go up into the stitches because they're loops within loops. In a way, you know, they're 3D loops versus flat loops the way knitting is. It hides better. It's easier. You can do knots and you don't feel them. One of the benefits of crochet. But also it's like, I have an idea I have to undo, and I don't mind frogging because to me, frogging is just like backstitch and cross stitch. It's just like this extra thing you have to do. Weaving in ends is just an extra thing you have to do. Dealing with fringe, whatever you want to do is just the next step. It may not be the fun one, but it's not miserable or terrible or anything. It's just, it is what it is. And I'm just like, I can't make up my mind. And I'm not used to not being able to make up my mind. I'm a pretty decisive person. I've been dealing with a lot of indecisive people lately, and I'm realizing decision making is sometimes a skill. But I feel like I'm failing at the skill check right now. So if you're somebody else who's feeling kind of this way, and you're feeling like your mojo, crojo, whatever is not there, I feel ya. Mine isn't either. And it's okay. I am not finishing much. I finished a bowl. That'll be my first what I've completed, because I have exactly one more. But you know what? There's process stitchers and then there's product stitchers. I think I have a video on this from a long time ago. But some people enjoy the process. Some people prefer, getting the end product. I'm kind of a little bit of both, because I feel whatever I make has to be useful and that I need to use it for its purpose. So if I don't find a need for it, I'm not going to make it. But also, the making is the fun part. I definitely need to have a plan. I don't need to have a pattern. I just need to have a plan. And with no plan, I'm just like, well, let's try again. A lot. And it's okay. It just doesn't feel like I'm going anywhere with it. And that's the frustrating part. I should probably just shut up and work on the cross stitch, because my husband will like it. It's going to have a quote and everything. And I'll show you when it's completed. I think I've left it mostly a mystery to him. I don't know that I've shown him anything. I've mentioned the bricks and he was very confused. Finished product, as mentioned before, bowl full of sauces. Yum. Also, the thing that I've been working on since the very first podcast is still not blocked, but that's okay. Blocking does not mean finished to me. All the ends woven in means finished to me. This was another one of those projects that I couldn't decide on. It's amazing what happens when you finally figure out what you want to do with something. But yeah, this is it. I look very artsy-fartsy, I think, with this. But I think it'll sit better once I actually, block it and it gets a little bit more stretch to it. But look at that. It's just a little something a little bit warmer. This one is like wool. I think one of the two has alpaca in it. I'm not sure which one. But I like how it gets more and more red as it goes down and less as it goes up. Because some shades look good on me, some don't. Black is a good neutral. That always looks good on me. And it matches a bunch of other stuff. So I like it very... you could usually tell somebody was French in the 50s and the 60s because they had some kind of a pattern like this stripy thing on their clothes. I'm thinking in terms of To Catch a Thief, or there's another movie of that era that has somebody in a red and black similar to this, and it's kind of giving me that vibe. Ugh, it's so wrinkly. But yeah, finally finished like 2 months ago. So yay. So, yep, that's what I've been up to. A whole lot of, not very much. A whole lot of a lot of going very fast to not get very far. I hope you all are feeling better than I am, and happy crafting. Bye.